Do you have a brilliant product idea but don't know where to start to get it made? Or are you looking to level up your product but afraid to take it overseas?
If so, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Jackie.
And I'm Erin, and we are
The Sourcing Gals,
your trusted guides to everything you need to know about sourcing, manufacturing, and scaling your product overseas. Whether you are just starting out or you've been making your own product for a while, we are here to help women source products overseas without the overwhelm.
In each episode, we'll share insider tips, actionable strategies, and inspiring stories to help you source more effectively, save time, and boost your profits. Duh! We know how hard it can be to juggle the ins and outs of product development, but don't worry, we've got your back.
So grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's dive into how you can grow your business,
Make more money,
and turn your products into profit. Welcome to
The Sourcing Gals. Now let's get started. High five.
Hi.
Welcome to the next episode of
The Sourcing Gals. Okay, this episode calls for something. For those that are not watching, that is the sound of joy for me.
a fresh Diet Coke.
A fresh DC, but I'm gonna need a little liquid courage here for this one. No,
I wish I had a Diet Coke, but I had too much coffee this morning.
yeah. See, that's one fun fact about me, guys. I do not like coffee.
I know.
I'm just like naturally this crazy. So the Diet Coke's really just for the taste. I do one a day. It's my vice. Hashtag haters gonna hate, but I don't care.
The funny thing is that I love Diet Coke, but I don't like it out of a can.
See, I'll do a fresh fountains number one.
That's what I'm saying. Fresh fountain.
Okay. Oh, but then can all day long. I
Bottle
will not,
lasts. Yeah.
will not touch a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
I will it. That whole lineup that's on Instagram, like I would nail it. I could tell you whose Diet Coke is what, and yeah,
Might have to put that to the test one day. But
it'd be a fun thing.
until then, we'll talk with you guys about.
Let's get into it. Let's get into plot twist. When life changes, shifts your path. So we're going to get a little personal here. We're going to tell you a little bit about our own stories, our own plot twists, and how Erin and I are now sitting here today, about to do some really exciting things in life. So Erin, tell me, share some moments that really shifted your career and life direction.
I think that there are a couple like giant ones. There's some small things that happened along the way that led me into the path that I am now. But a couple of like just giant ones are that I took a corporate job in New York that moved me across the country. My husband was actually in graduate school in Columbus. I had just had a baby. Maeve she was under a year.
That's
she was
wild.
maybe 6 months old.
That is wild.
We decided to move to the city. We had to get, apartments, nannies, whatever. And not only that, but this job took 10, 11 hours a day. I was there until, it was like I was moving my country. I was moving my family across the country, but I also wasn't doing it to like be more present. I was doing it because it was a huge step for me in terms of what I would learn. It was like a huge resume opportunity.
Yep.
And I was very excited about it. It was with a very great brand. And so it was a hard decision, but it was a huge twist because I just said my husband was in graduate school the whole time. He came back to Columbus once a month for a full week. Meanwhile, I had an infant in New York and I was like doing it together with a nanny, and it was very hard.
Wow.
It's very hard.
Yep. Real, but how long were you there then? How long did you?
I lived in the city for 2 years. And that was really, I think before I applied for that job, Matt said, he said, I will go anywhere you want for this next stage, not New York.
Sucker.
Poor guy.
Poor guy.
I was like, well, plot twist, we are going to New York.
Wow.
He will joke with you to this day that New York killed our dog. And that's because our dog died when we lived in New York. She was actually almost 14. Like but he's like, it just the roughness of the city,
Yeah.
it did her in.
Oh my gosh.
She wasn't living the cush country life anymore,
Wow.
which, you know, we of course were sad about that, but it didn't really kill her. It's just his joke, because I think it maybe killed him inside a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe me a little bit. And it was an easy move. It was an easy decision to come back, but it was for a purpose that I knew was a big part of my life.
Yeah.
I knew that I needed to.
So, I mean, in partnership with your partner, though, you made a decision to put yourself first and take the opportunity. And
Yeah.
it's afforded you, I mean, you've had amazing learnings and experiences that you wouldn't have had you stayed here.
Connections and networking and a knowledge about an entire industry. I didn't know anything about jewelry prior to going there. It really put me on a different path in life. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm no longer with that company, but a lot of the things I learned and connections I made while there have just set me up for everything else I'm meant to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's also important to remember, while one decision can definitely change the outcome of your life, it also doesn't have to be permanent, right? Like, you went to New York and you experienced it and you did it. It didn't mean that by moving to New York, you were committing to spending the rest of your life in New York.
Correct.
Right? Like, it was the right move at the right time. It didn't mean that you weren't going to then make the next right move, which could be something totally different, i.e. coming back to Columbus when it felt right.
Right.
So it's not necessarily that one decision is going to be this so permanent that you can't then make 20 more decisions after that.
Sure. And honestly, we were planning to stay a little bit longer. We had said we would not do school there. So when my daughter Maeve got to the age where she would have to be in kindergarten, we would go somewhere else. Like, we would be done, because the school systems and vying for like which it was just not, I was not interested.
Yeah.
And I know people do it every day, all the time. There are a lot of people who raise kids in New York. It was not for me. And so my husband actually ended up getting a new job. And so we left earlier than we were anticipating. And I was blessed that my company was like, let's try working remotely. And that actually was 2 months before the pandemic.
That's
so
crazy.
They were going out on a huge limb for me. And then the entire world ended up turning remote anyway. And was I not grateful that I decided to move here 2 months before the pandemic? Because if I was working from home in my postage stamp of a Brooklyn apartment with my kids and my husband also working from home, it might not have just been the dog. Like, I might have died.
Amazing. I mean, that's back-to-back plot twists right there that were imperative to where you are now.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Super.
I feel like a couple key turning points in my life that have really changed career, if I just talk about career paths for me. So I've started businesses, I call them hobby businesses, all throughout. And in college, so I really started a legitimate business. And so I was selling to boutiques and making accessories, and basically graduation was coming up, and I had this decision, like, do I really lean in to my own business? That was totally not profitable, by the way, at the time, but it was what I had taught myself, right? How to put together products
But if you go back into your 22-year-old mind, that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, it was big. And I had, Kate Spade was my like vision of like, I can be the next Kate Spade, right? Because I was in this accessory world and doing these things. But then at the same time, I got this amazing internship with Abercrombie. And when I got there, I realized like, oh my gosh, I have a lot to learn. And so it was literally the choice of, do I do this on my own, go back, live with my parents and try to figure this out and hustle, or do I take this great corporate opportunity and like take that track? And so the safety, security, and for a lot of good reasons, I decided to lean into the corporate track. So that was like one very interesting.
And we met there. So thankful you did.
I know. And then after many years of hopping around corporate retail, I ended up at my latest retailer, The Limited, a women's retailer that I was at for a long time. And inevitably, which happens with a lot of corporate retailers, they were bought by private equity. It didn't go well and it went bankrupt. And so now I'm at this point where, okay, I've been on this track, looking at my boss above me, being like, do I want to be, a merchandise manager? Is this the next thing I want to do? And I had, 8 years ago, an opportunity come to me to kind of do another pivot, which was joining a small business that was a manufacturing company and move from being on the corporate side of being a merchant buyer, product developer, to being on the sourcing side and basically being a vendor to people that I literally used to work for. So it was a very big jump. I had another corporate job offer that would have been the same job that I was doing at a different company in Columbus, or I had this entrepreneurial opportunity to come in and build something new, do something different. I mean, I went from running a team of 15, 20 people to 2. So there was a lot of shifts that were happening, not in this big corporate structure that I was trying to weigh in. I remember my husband actually said, just try it. Worst case, you don't like it, you can always go back to corporate. There's so many here in Columbus, right?
And I think that's you mentioned that with the New York move not being permanent, but also when you are on the precipice of making these types of decisions in life, in my mind, and maybe in your mind, you're like, if I take this next path, who I am as a business person and entrepreneur is going to change forever.
Yes.
And that's just not quite the case.
Yeah, the permanency, it isn't, right? It is every day you can make a choice to change, literally every day. So I chose to try something different, and thank goodness I did. I've spent 8 years at an amazing company, building a team, meeting so many wonderful factories, sourcing the widest range of products that I never could have imagined. And my life would be so different had I decided to choose the stable path, the safe path, the copy paste path of just moving to my next retail opportunity. And so here I am now 8 years later at another life pivot. I have started other businesses and other passions. And so I'm at this place now where I'm going to lean in again, and I'm leaning in with Sourcing Gals. And I'm so excited for all the things that I've learned over the past corporate, yes, but the past 8 years of being on the small business side and getting to do such a range of product and such a range of customers. I realize that I have so much more to give now than I would have had I stayed that corporate track.
Yeah, that's important.
So it's really...
It's almost like the universe knew you needed that.
Yeah, 100%. It definitely did. And so now I'm able to lean in to a whole different path. Same DNA, but what's going to come out on the other side is going to be different. And I'm really, really excited about it. And I never could have planned it. I never could have planned that you and me would be sitting here doing this, talking about launching coursework to help other product-based businesses get off the ground. I mean, it's just wild when you think about working for these big corporate retailers and now bringing it down to the scale that we're talking about too. How cool to have seen, to be working on both ends of it.
And I think that it's interesting because when it happens, it seems abrupt. It seems, and I know your current pivot, it felt probably faster than what you would have, if you could script it out.
Yep.
But then to look back in hindsight, we've had people approaching us individually and together. How do I launch a product? How do I start my product-based business for years?
Yes. And not been able to help them.
And you and I kind of, after Abercrombie, met back up and started just throwing around these types of ideas.
Yep.
And it was it was the week before the pandemic. It was March 13th or something like that. Because I remember we were on the phone when I was trying to get back to Columbus from New York. But anyway, all that to say, 5 years later, we've just been knocking around these ideas.
Yep.
We've been trying to independently help folks.
Yep.
And it never quite flowed.
Yeah. Because we had other jobs, right?
Yeah.
We were working for other companies, right? So, we were trying to, again, help and be helpful. But at the end of the day, we had more than full-time retail jobs. As anyone who works in retail knows, there's no 9 to 5 in corporate retail, so and then, by the way, when the clock ends, your mom, your wife, right, all the other things, maybe a little time for yourself here and there. So we've been having these dreams, and I always say, you and me, watch what we manifest for, because pretty freaking good at it.
We were very good at
And
it.
so I guess we've been manifesting this for a while. And now these life pivots that have happened both, in some ways voluntarily, in some ways involuntarily for both of
Yeah.
us, to be honest, is putting us here together at like legitimately within months of one another, which
Within
is
months.
kind of crazy.
That is another good point. And I didn't want to get like, I don't know, it's a personal episode, but I had another really big pivot after I had Vale too, because he was my second. I had gnarly postpartum depression after I had him. So to the point where I was like, I don't know that I can work.
Mm.
I can't like show up in a way to support a team meaningfully.
Mm.
And that's when my wheels really started spinning with what would it look like if I didn't work 60, 70-hour weeks anymore?
Yeah.
What would that look like for me?
Mhm.
How could I maintain my purpose in life? How could I maintain my interests and my passions and not just be like on this corporate track? And so that's, we had already been like tossing around some of these ideas at that point, and I really just got to thinking, okay, I need something different to sustain me as a mom long term and still like really fulfill my purpose and passion.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, I think listening to yourself like that, we've talked about some signs. Like, what are some signs to know that it might be time for a change? Like, you might be ready for a pivot, or that pivot might be coming for you, even if you're not necessarily thinking it's
Even if
coming,
it's
right?
so scary.
Yeah.
I am like, when it comes to manifesting and the spiritual woo-woo, like I'm in.
Yep.
I'm in all the way. But intuition, that like hair standing up on the back of your neck, prickly intuition is not to be ignored. I knew a couple months before I left my last job, like I was like, this is going to end soon. And I am here for it.
Yeah.
I need a pivot.
Yeah.
I need something new, and manifested something new, which is amazing. Plus the opportunity. What I'm trying to say is like, what happened wasn't how I, in my mind, probably would have scripted it,
Mhm.
but it gave me the absolute perfect scenario under which to do my next thing in the most meaningful way.
Yeah. It's so true. And I think, again, that intuition, we had a note written down here of like when you're feeling friction instead of flow, like you were feeling friction coming,
So much friction.
and and then the minute that friction was gone, it's like, holy shit, flow away.
Doors opening,
Like,
windows
it's just like,
opening.
whoosh, we got wind coming in here. Like, we got cross breeze.
We should
all
have brought
day
in a
long.
wind machine
We
for this
should
one.
have. It's so good. So yeah, again, I think it is hard to sometimes balance the brain chatter with the heart and gut chatter.
Of course.
Especially when I'm an outside audible processor. I love other people's opinions. I have very strongly my own opinions, but I'm one that searches for guidance. And so when you start talking about
Jackie, you're the world's #1 audio text.
I'm a voice memo. Yeah, guys, if you don't give me your cell phone if you don't want a voice memo, because that's just what you're going to get from me. It's basically a mini podcast. So you're going to get mini podcasts from me. But my point with that is, it's hard sometimes when you do ask for advice or guidance from people who maybe aren't entrepreneurs or don't have the same feelings, right? And it's not the friction. They're not going through the friction themselves, right? They can see it from a third party, but I think that's where sometimes you have to be a little protective of really listening to yourself. And just because maybe even your closest support system is saying one thing, it still doesn't make it right for you. So
that's a really great point.
You have to always be grounded and rooted in your truth, your feelings, because no one else has that experience, right? Like no one else can really know what it feels like. So again, having support is I do think having support is critical. And again, when I talked about my husband saying like, just try something different, right? Like he was willing to be supportive. The pay wasn't as good. Like things were not on paper necessarily the best, but he could see that there might be a better way and that I might be happier by doing this. So I just think while support is needed for sure as you make big pivots, at the end of the day, it is your decision. And you have to be the one that makes it for you. And it's hard sometimes and it's scary sometimes, but I've always bet on myself, and I say it all the time. I will continue to bet on myself.
And as soon as you take that step, believe in yourself, trust your intuition, you will get more of what you need.
Yep.
I truly believe that the universe will not line up your next steps until you believe.
Yep.
Until you believe that you are meant for something. And that was a hard lesson for me through the entire beginning of my life too, because I was the daughter of an engineer. Like, I know your husband's an engineer too, but like rationality trumped all.
Yep.
And I decided to just start leaning into intuition instead. And it has just like boom, 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 opened up doors for me. And it's kind of mind blowing.
So something else that we had noted before was that change doesn't mean failure. And oftentimes it can mean alignment. And
that's so powerful.
Sometimes you get to make the change for yourself and sometimes you don't. But at the end of the day, like I just think about, again, like your recent experiences with your last employer, and like sometimes that change wasn't totally on your terms.
But I knew it was coming.
But you knew it was coming. And thank God.
Thank God.
Right?
I was just telling you that yesterday, right? I look back in hindsight at that and I thought, wow, that was more abrupt than I expected. And then I was in the middle of a manifestation challenge and I was actually asking for it.
Yep.
I was asking for time freedom. I was asking for the opportunity to dig into this and to dig into helping folks who are launching their own product. And I work with like more established brands too, who are just looking to grow, scale, innovate. What have you, innovate. But I just am in such a sweet spot and would have never have been here if kind of that button wouldn't have been pushed on my behalf.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think sometimes again that, whether change happens to you or change happens for you, right? Like that, like the other saying with that sometimes when you're in it, it might not be as easy to see, but man, when you can get to the other side of it, gold. Like
if you look at it like that, if you have that attitude that this is happening for me.
Yep.
Now, if you would have asked me 4 years ago during my postpartum journey, why is this happening for you? I would have been like, get out of my house. I never want to see you again.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, of course, hindsight's 2020, it really gave me opened a door to focus on myself, what I want in life, why I'm here, which honestly hadn't occurred to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It hadn't occurred to me that like I get to be a creator and what's happening for me or to me.
Yeah.
So it was very powerful, and I honestly probably needed that. Probably needed someone to say like, get your head out of your ass and like do what you need to be doing in this world.
Yeah. And I'm just so, again, Erin and I are both, as you know, believers of the universe and energy and the woos and all the things, but like there is no bigger proof of the universe at work right now than the fact that you and I are both sitting here post major pivots in both of our lives towards our dream of freedom and what that means.
And with
us.
Like countless opportunities on the doorstep.
Oh yeah. And it's not like, I'm, mic drop in, I'm going to go now become a homesteader, which I mean, I'm here for that too. If anyone else wants to do a commune, like I'm down for it, but
cannot be in charge of the chickens. I don't like them.
Yeah. I probably can't contribute much in regards to that world, but I want to
Management.
be a part of it. Yeah, I will help manage it, I guess, and delegate. But my point is, like, it is insane to look back on 20 years of a friendship, seriously,
Yeah.
and think of where our lives are, and think about where our paths crossed 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And all the amazing things we are doing and about to do next. It's
Yeah.
like goosebumps craziness.
Yeah.
So
It truly is. So, I hate for this to be like a quaint little when life gives you lemons episode, because we know the pivots are hard.
Yep.
We know they can be unexpected. We both had those.
there's lots of tears, by the way, at least for me, the empath, the biggest empath there probably is. So again, they can be hard. They can hurt. Like, I trying to let myself feel it
Yeah.
and know that it's real and not be like, oh, everything's fine. No, it hurts. It's real. And then like release it.
It's interesting you say that. As a Capricorn and an oldest daughter, I don't have a lot of that. And I've been working on that. I said something to one of my friends when I had my recent pivot. And I was like, no one's even asked me if I'm okay. And she goes, well, because you are okay. You act okay all the time. And I'm like, yes, I do that. But really, it was just like, scary times. And they can lead to just really phenomenal things.
Yeah.
If you lean into them.
So trust the timing. It might not necessarily be something you thought, but if you can trust in it and lean into it and stay above.
Find your people
Yeah.
to help
Yeah.
you through these plot twists. Like,
Yeah.
there are different people who have come out of the woodwork who have experienced something recently, or who just are able to open doors to your next step. Like, it might be a total new group of folks.
Yep.
So lean into that and take it as an opportunity to expand your network, expand your mind, expand your life experience, because we get the opportunity to do these different things. Like, why pigeonhole ourselves?
Yeah.
Kind of. So I think not just about the universe and the woo-woo, but both of us have had these life pivots, job pivots, career pivots, child pivots, and have started companies.
Yep.
While we've been in the trenches, because I think that at the time, maybe it's from a background in corporate retail, or maybe it's just a belief system, but I just told myself, if not now, then when? If not me, then who? Like, their life will always have shit. And if there's something that's truly, you need to do it, you need to start a business, you need to launch a product, you need to pivot, like, do it now.
Yeah. Yep. And people say about like having children, like, there's no perfect timing, right? Like,
No.
and then once you do it, you're like, holy shit, why did I wait this long? You know?
Yeah.
So it's like the time, if it is on your heart, the time is now.
Yeah.
Start it. And I used to say, a mile is running one step at a time, right? Don't worry about the finish line. Like, just start stepping, just start walking, and the path will unfold. If you really are meant to do it, the path will unfold step by step, and you will make your way to that finish line.
I love to use the analogy of the stair stepper machine at the gym.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Now, I've never been on the machine because it scares the little crap out of me. And also, I don't go to the gym very often. But I've seen other people on them. And you're stepping, and the step in front of you, like, doesn't pop out until it's ready to.
Yeah.
And it's a little freaky.
Yeah.
But I think life's a lot that way, in career and product development. And you got to start going. That next step is not going to appear if you don't start walking.
Yep. I love it. Well, let's end with that. Thanks for being here, everybody, for letting us be a little vulnerable and give you a little more personal side to the Sourcing Gals. But next week, we'll be back with some more nitty gritty and education for you. But I hope this inspired you. And if you are someone who has been debating about starting that product-based business, or just at a life pivot, lean in. Lean in. Listen to yourself.
Sure. And if you want, pop on over to YouTube. You can leave a comment with your biggest life twist.
Yeah.
Let us know.
I'd love to hear it.
Let's chat about it.
I love it. Okay, Erin, I really enjoyed our time today.
I have too. Thank you all also for joining us on
The Sourcing Gals. Until next week.